Bismillah, I'm a Muslim, and this is a message for feminists. I have so much love for you and like empathy. I don't know why it's really a shame, like the conversation between Muslims and like radical feminists, it's, I don't know why it's not working, because we're almost on the same page on everything. Like, we agree with almost everything that feminists say. Women are hypersexualized and not fairly treated and like degraded and all of these things. Like a woman in the workplace, if she doesn't wear makeup, she doesn't get promoted. If she doesn't dress and show her cleavage and high heels, nobody values her. And when she says an idea, nobody cares. If she wears the high heels and the makeup, then she gets promoted. She's a sexualized object. This is like, we agree with almost everything that feminists say. See, we and feminists, we see the same picture. The difference is that feminists' reaction, and I hope you understand me honestly, because, you know, I know some feminists who I really care for. Like, you know, many of them are like, you know, in many ways really good human beings. And they see the oppression and hypersexualization and degradation of women. But you have to understand, in their situation, they don't have the answer, or they choose to reject the answer. Many of them, they don't have the answer. And so what is there left to do? This is what happens a lot in prison, is guys end up giving like blowjobs to other guys out of force, because the guys are going to rape them anyway. So instead of being raped in the, like, you know, without too many details, like held down by 4 guys and raped with penetration, instead of that, they can give the guy a blowjob willingly and they won't get raped. So a lot of guys choose to do that. This is what happens, as you know, the feminists will know as well, with many female rape victims. They participate in the rape. It doesn't mean it's not rape. It is rape. But they participate in the rape because that's their situation. What are they going to do? They're being raped. Either they can be raped brutally, or they can participate in the rape. They don't want to do it, but they have to do it because that's the only option. Basically, what happened with feminists is that they chose to participate in the rape. They're being degraded and sexualized in society. So since she's already sexualized, she decides, you know what? I'm going to take the sexualization into my own hands, and I'm going to dress even more sexualized. And I'm going to say, why are you looking at me? But everything's open. You can see my nipples. And they think that they get power from that, and they're right. This is the thing. They are correct. The feminists, they really found like it works. It's a solution. It's a bad solution. It doesn't actually work or fix the problem. It just makes it worse. But it works in a certain way. They do really get power. Because she's standing there in front of you, basically naked, and you can't do anything. Like, what are you going to do? You're going to, you know, you can't have sex with me. I refuse, but I'm standing naked in front of you. It's very appealing. You want to have sex. And, like, they're successful in a certain way, but they're only worsening the problem because they're participating in the rape. See, the actual solution is, of course, you know, if you know Muslims, you know how it is with women. It's you cover the body. You protect the woman from being sexualized. So, you know, I remember I saw one time a Muslim woman at the mosque. She was explaining Islam to one motorbike guy. And, you know, he's a man, obviously. He's like bigger and stronger, and he's used in life to like dominating women. But here is a woman standing in front of him, and she's an Islamic teacher, and she's explaining Islam to him. And I noticed, I can't hear exactly what they're saying. Maybe a few words I heard or I didn't hear, I don't remember. But I can see the body language. You can see what's happening. I can see this guy, he's like, from when he's silent and then he starts talking, from his body language, he starts to like, you know, he's used to acting in a certain way and getting the woman to submit. Because that's what happens with most of these westernized women, is when a guy acts really confident and sexual and whatever, they can't help but, you know, just sort of like, even if they're not into it and they sort of giggle it away, basically. That's the situation with women, you know, that's the situation with women. You know, you know, a lot of women, when they feel threatened with a guy, they sort of laugh it off and joke with him to safeten the situation. That's the, you know, and that's why I can understand feminists very, very well. But anyway, this guy, from this confident, like, she has Islamic knowledge, she's a confident Islamic teacher, and she's dressed with the hijab, everything. I could see this guy, like his things weren't working, what he's used to have happen, because she just doesn't care. Yeah, he's stronger than her. Yeah, if they were to have a fight, yeah, she couldn't stop him, but she doesn't care because her perception of herself is not as a physical object. That's the key. You don't go deeper into saying, yeah, it is my body and I will do whatever I want with it. No. The solution is don't be the body. You see, this is the solution. Don't be the body that's sexualized. They're sexualizing you, don't participate in it. If you cover your whole body, you stop to be a body. As a woman, that's how it is. You know, a female body is very attractive. Even women, when they look at if you look at sort of art and paintings, a lot of it was, naked women, female bodies. It's, even for women, it's beautiful. If you show a woman a beautiful female body naked, she'll be like, yeah, that's a beautiful body. In a very, I don't know how to say, sexual, not sexual. I think most of you will understand what I'm saying. The female body is something really special. That's why in art and all of these things. And the female body, it is attractive. It's like, like a fruit and whatever. Like a beautiful, I don't know if there's a word in English, paysage, like landscape, or you understand what I'm saying. If you cover it, you see, now you have the power. Because it's your choice who will see it and who will not see it. You see. If you're just walking down the street, and by the way, I'll say it immediately because I know a lot of people are thinking about it, hair. Because I think almost everyone in the West can understand about breasts and, hips and all of these things. But hair, a lot of people in the West don't understand it. Hair is perhaps one of the most beautiful things about a woman. Simple example, almost all men will understand what I'm saying. Imagine whatever it is, like you consider like a beautiful model, whatever, like your famous actress, whatever. Okay, imagine her, yeah? Now imagine very clearly in your head, she's bald. Immediately is day and night, completely different. I think, I don't know how many women will understand what I'm saying, but you can ask the men around you and we can testify to that. The hair, it's a fundamental difference of the attractiveness of that female. And I have to tell you, because I'm a Muslim, so obviously I, speak to, women in hijab, and there's a certain beauty of a woman in a hijab. I swear, I don't know if you'll understand what I'm saying, but I've imagined getting married and seeing my wife for the first time take off her hijab. And I've thought to myself, like, it will be strange because she will be like more beautiful to me with the hijab. I don't know if you can understand even what I'm saying, because my perception is different already. With the hijab, I'm seeing really the true beauty in her. The real true beauty of that person. Not in the physical like attraction in the sense that a fruit attracts. That's how it is, that's the reality. We cannot pretend as human beings, we have an attraction to each other, even females to males, where we perceive the other human being as like a fruit to eat. Even women perceive men like this. A powerful man with, whatever it is, he's rich and powerful and the muscles and the body. You can imagine him in a certain way. It is also attractive in the same way that a man sees a woman. He wants to, like, to absorb that body, that being, that soul. He wants to absorb it sexually. Same thing women feel for men. This sort of like eating a fruit, like a peach or something like this. This perception is a very physical, it's physical, I'll put it in that word. We have a word, as Muslims, we say dunya, it means the temporary life. This life that we're living before death. It's temporary, it's fleeting, it's nothing really. It's sort of a trick, If your favorite food is peaches, for example, and you like a peach, but if I make you eat peaches every day and you don't get to eat anything else, imagine after 2 years what you will think of peaches. Not even 2 years, if 20 days, and imagine, if I give you peach jam and I tell you you cannot eat anything other than peach jam, suppose it's your favorite, you can imagine you're not really going to like it. Imagine, whatever. you imagine the most beautiful girl, or your favorite guy who you're obsessed with. You think, oh, imagine if only he married me. Okay, if I give you handcuffs, you're handcuffed to him. How long are you going to last? You will turn off those handcuffs if I tell you, look, you can stay handcuffed, or I give you the key, but you can never see him again or see her again. Maybe a few days maximum. I think for most people, you are going to ask for that key. No problem. I'll never see him again. Just get me away from him. Maybe a few weeks for some rare cases. This is the situation of the world. So the real beauty is when you see the person, when it's not about that physical connection. That's the real beauty. So in order for a man to be able to see a woman like that, this is the way of the world. If her hair is there, if her breasts are there, if you go to the extreme, she's completely naked, we cannot help it. You cannot help it. If you put a woman, imagine, like right now in front of me, completely naked, legs are spread wide, and she's looking with particular eyes. If I'm looking at her and focused on her and talking to her, and she's talking to me in a seductive way, saying like, oh, don't you want to, it is almost inevitable I'm going to have desire. That's how the world works. So that's the extreme. Now, you reduce it by 1, by 2, by 3, by 4. This is the same thing. So when you understand that, then you understand better about, in Islam, the hijab. Now, here's the other thing. If, this is for women, if I'm going to flirt with a woman, but I have no intention to marry her, it's haram. It's forbidden for me, just like it's forbidden for that woman to show me her hair before we're married. If I have no intention on marrying her, I cannot talk with sweet words and just because I want to feel that, she likes me. This is haram. So this is now you're starting to understand. This situation for having that relationship, it's for marriage. That's where it's for. Where you have an actual relationship as a human being, on the first level, as a human being. After you have a relationship as a human being, okay, then you can have the physical, have fun, have as much fun as you want. But the foundation should be human. And if you are not married, if that's not your relationship, then if, she happens to be working as the accountant in the same company as you, and your relationship is in that context, or she's she's the secretary when you go to the doctor's appointment, whatever it is. Or, this should not be based on this sexual, like, oh, she's so beautiful, sexual. Imagine if I had her only in a back room. No, she should be a human being for you. And so the solution is the Islamic solution. Now, for those feminists, I'll tell you something. If I'm going to get married to a woman, to be specific, in the school of Imam Shafi, for non-Muslims, you don't understand, doesn't really matter. If I'm going to get married to her, and suppose we get married, and we come home, and she sits down and she says, I'm not going to cook for you, ever, in our marriage, never, not one day will I cook. And I'm not going to clean. None of this apartment, not one day, I'm never going to clean. It is my obligation for there to be food and for the house to be clean. I can do it, I can hire someone to do it. But it is not her obligation, that's my obligation. Can you imagine? Because people have this strange perception from all the propaganda and stuff. It is my obligation for the house to be clean. I can get a cleaner to do it, but it's my obligation to take care of it and for there to be food on the table. So, in Islam, a woman really is given freedom. I know many people, many career women. There are many of them, they're very successful. In law, for example, very successful. I forget the statistic, but I believe the statistic is actually very, very favorable for women. And very successful career women. But what happens, and if any one of you know these people, you've seen it. They are constantly under stress. And they break now and then. And usually by 40, 50, sometime around there, they're disillusioned, they drink a lot, they smoke a lot, they don't know what they're doing, they don't love their job, they don't care. This is the situation. So it's not that women are not capable of being successful, but, and if any woman is listening to this, this is the truth, if you're honest. The best place for a woman to succeed And she can be very successful in terms of intellectual success, building business, all of that. Women, very, very successful, capable people. The first wife of the Prophet, the Prophet Muhammad, her name's Khadija. She was a businesswoman. And women can be very successful. But the best situation for a woman to be successful is when she has freedom, when she's secure, when she's safe. She doesn't need to make money this month in order to pay the rent. She will eat and she will have rent for years. She is taken care of. And she has the freedom to explore her creative abilities. You see many wives of like successful millionaires, they're very, very successful in their own business, but they have the freedom. Without the stress, they can be creative. This is the feminine, creative sort of energy. It's very powerful and good, but it exists in a specific context. It's best when there is a man who's taking care of her. So, how is it ideal? And by the way, this is not only in Islam. By the way, if you look across the world, these are people who are not Muslim from olden times, just a few dozen years ago. This is how people looked everywhere in the world. Everywhere in the world, it was normal. This is only a modern thing. It's not about Islam or not Islam, about women covering the hair and all of these things. It was actually everywhere in the world like this. Women would live with their father. The father would then take care of them. Even if she's 25, he's still taking care of her. She's taken care of. She's not working to feed herself. She can work, but she's going to be fed if she works or she doesn't work. That's good for the woman, that freedom, that security. And then the father finds her and hands her off to a good husband who then takes on again that responsibility, feeding her, taking care of her until, forever. That's his responsibility. Honestly, it's like surprising today in the West. Like, I know some stories, girls are just, brainwashed. They're like, these guys, they're not feeding her. She's like living with her boyfriend and he's asking her for rent. And she's like okay with it. Like I know one girl. I'm thinking of one girl specifically. I think she's in Holland. I think so. And her cousin, I think it's her cousin. Yeah, her cousin tells her like, this is crazy, because her cousin's in a different country, and she's like, she doesn't understand that her boyfriend is asking her for rent is crazy. She doesn't understand. She's like, well, yeah, he's asking for rent. Like, why not? And it's really, really interesting, honestly. But this is like, just recently, anywhere in the world, and today still in most of the world, people understand like, obviously if a guy's with a girl, well, her expenses, they're all on him. If she makes money, that's like extra. But her food and her house, that's his job. And that's how it is in Islam. If a woman makes money, if she's a wife in Islam, it's her money. This is not his money. It's not shared money. It's her money. Anything that she makes, if she's married and she has her online business, whatever, that's her money. But her food and her house is paid by her husband's money. This is beauty. This is how it's supposed to be. She has the freedom, but there are obligations in marriage that the husband has to the wife and that the wife has to the husband. This is beauty. This is actual like power and success together when we take care of each other. Each of us has our own needs. Each of us has what makes us feel good. If a man is not taking care of his wife, believe me, that guy who's asking rent from his girl, he's not happy. Like, I'm not sure if I heard his voice or what, like, just hearing, like, I just remember I'm like, oh, that guy's clearly not happy, obviously. He has problems. Because imagine that you're not taking care of this girl, you're asking her for rent. Like, even if you don't realize it yourself, you're psychologically broken, you're like depressed. So the same thing with a girl. If she's not giving her man what her man needs, even if she doesn't agree with it or realize it, but if she's not giving him what he needs, and by the way, one of those things is sexual attention. Men need that. We need to be able to have sex whenever we want. This is important because that's how our sexual body works. And that's a big part of sex. That's the reality of the world. If you want, whether you accept it or you don't accept it, that's the truth. And most girls, you don't realize this, but that's why guys are with you. It's for sex. If the sex was not there, you will break up. That's the reason he went on the date with you. That's the reason he spends money on you. So wouldn't you prefer for it to be honest? Wouldn't you prefer that He actually gives you the gift because he wants to give you the gift, not because so that you'll have sex with him, because you have already entered into a relationship where you're going to have sex with him whenever he wants. That's the agreement. That's like, if he wants it, yeah, you know, it's free. Anytime you want, we're going to have sex. That's his situation. Now, anything that he does for you is not because of sex. He doesn't want you to be like, you know, he actually wants you to be happy. That's like a beautiful, honest relationship, because the reality of men is that that's how it is. And there's a reality of women also. If you don't feed her and you don't take care of her, she does not respect you. That's the reality of women. Whether you accept it or you don't accept it, that's the reality. Whether, even if the woman is okay with you saying, I'm not going to pay for it, you know, you should rent your own apartment. Even if she's okay with that, she's not going to actually be happy. If she's with you and she's having sex with you and you're not paying for her, she's not going to be happy, like truly satisfied, because you're not a real man in that relationship. So similarly, if you're not giving him sex, he's not really going to be happy with you either, because you're not a real wife for him also. But that the reason why a lot of women don't feel that situation, because they're not married. Because they're not in that situation where like they have a real man who said, hey, like until you die, everything taken care of on me. Your life finished, security, done. Don't worry about anything. House, food, everything taken care of until you die. Just be with me. Then a woman can feel free to be, yeah, anytime you want, we'll have sex with you, you know. I want to have your children, I want to take care of your kids. It's a completely different experience than like, oh, I'm with you now, I don't know if I'll be with you tomorrow. You're like, sometimes you pay, sometimes you don't pay. I don't know, I have to ask you, can you please buy me this? Yeah, obviously you don't feel like you want to give yourself fully to that person. So that's the situation. That's the situation with the man and the women both in the West. Neither of them are giving anything to each other. It's not this real thing. You have to give yourself completely. Then you can be happy, because we have needs. This is the situation. Imagine you're having sex with somebody and they're not really with you fully. But that's what people are used to. But that's not. How are you having sex? Imagine you're having sex with someone, you know they hate you. You know they don't respect you, you're nothing. You're like, yeah, you're just like, imagine that. You're having sex with someone. And you know that they just think you're like, yeah, you're just like dirt or something like this. Imagine. Now, I don't want women to confuse, because I know Western women, a lot of you think that I'm talking about the guy that's like, you know, how to say this nice. He's pervertedly using you and you find that attractive. That's different. He still actually likes you in the way that he's having sex with you. He's like, whatever it is that he's doing, he's choking you or whatever, he's actually still like obsessed with you, because of, you can see from his action, he's interested in your reaction. That's why he's doing something to you. So that's not the same thing. Imagine he actually, like, he thinks you're dirt, you're nothing, and this is not, you know, this is not what you want. So in reality, what you want, women, you want a powerful man, and men, you want a feminine woman. This is the beautiful, actual happy relationship. So if you find that women are sexualized all over in the West, and it's true, the problem is because at the same time, the sexual situation is not solved. So people are not happy in their relationships, and they are looking for perversion, because they're not satisfied sexually, because they don't have proper, full, completely, like, full, intensive sexual relationships in their marriages. They don't have it. So that's why, you know, most marriages, I think, like, you can probably talk to a psychologist, they'll tell you, once the sex stops, you know, the marriage stops. So that's also based on the man. It's also the man's responsibility to have sex, you know. He has to pleasure his woman. That's important. But she also has to play her part in that as well, which is to allow him to do that. But, you know, the men have the responsibility as well. That's no doubt there. But this situation with feminists, honestly, we have so much in common, honestly. The difference is we see the same problem of degradation of women in society and being disrespected, but we come at it realizing, okay, the solution we see as differently. And I hope this video shows feminists, and I'm happy to make more videos on this subject, almost certainly I will, because I've spoken to many people on this subject, and in person it's a lot easier. Maybe I'll do some recordings if I can, talking to someone, because when a person has their specific things that they're saying, it's easier to explain to them once you can hear specifically what their thoughts are. But I hope this video was beneficial, and I have all the best wishes for all of you. I hope you have a great day.